All right, shalom, shalom. All right, today we're breaking down the Sabbath. But before we get to that, I like to ask for the young prophets. It's called um, it's called precept of the day. Let's get Proverbs 15.
This is the book of Proverbs, 15 and verse 18. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger easeth strife.
A wrathful man stirred up strife. That's an instigator, right? So what's the precept to that, young prophets? Let's see. Let's get Proverbs 16:32.
This is the book of Proverbs, 16 and verse 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit, than he that taketh the city.
All right, so let's get James 1 and 19. It's another precept.
This is the book of James, 1 and verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Slow to wrath. So that's the precept. Slow to anger, slow to speak, slow to wrath, right? So I actually got another one. Let's get Proverbs 28 now.
This is the book of Proverbs, 28 and verse 9. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination.
It says prayer should be an abomination. Let's get John 9:1. So it's another precept, y'all.
This is the book of John, chapter 9 and verse 31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, then he heareth.
All right, let's get Psalms 109, verse 7. So we know God is not sinners, right? Let's see what's the judgment for the wicked man.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 109 and verse 7. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin.
So his prayer is sin. The wicked man prayer is sin. All right, so let's get into the Sabbath day breakdown. So let's see. When I was the truth, well, when I came to the truth, I didn't know what the Sabbath day was, right? Because my pastor that I had, she was in sin, she was teaching, right? But she told my wife that the Sabbath is every day, and I did believe I was lost, right? But when I came to the truth, my brothers told me, let's actually get what the Sabbath day breakdown is. Let's get Exodus 31:16. So what is the Sabbath day?
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 31 and verse 15. 6 days the work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
Is
Verse
that,
6,
is that 16?
that's 15. You
Yeah,
want 16?
16.
Verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant.
So most people think perpetual means for a short time, but perpetual actually means of everlasting. I mean, never ending. So it's a never ending covenant between you and the Most High. What else is it? Verse 17.
Verse 17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
So it's a sign between you and God forever. Go ahead.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed.
So it's a everlasting covenant, and it's a sign between you and the Most High God. Now let's get Exodus 20, verse 8, to see what else it is.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
So the Sabbath day is a commandment. So the Sabbath day is a commandment between you and the Most High God. Now you might ask yourself, what does it mean the Sabbath? Let's get Romans 7, verse 12.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 12. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy,
Hmm.
and just, and good.
So it says the commandments. I mean, it says the law is holy and the commandments holy. So the Sabbath day is lawful, right? It's a law for you to keep the Sabbath day. So let's get Exodus 20. Let's start at verse Exodus 28, verse 10. Exodus 20 and 10.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 10. But the 7 days of the Sabbath of the Lord thy God, in it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate.
So it says that on the Sabbath day you can do no work, right? You can your mother, your father, your brothers, sisters, nobody in your family, even if you had a business, you can do your employees can do it, right? Let's get Exodus 35. So now we know we can only work on the Sabbath day. What else can we do?
This is the book of Exodus, 35 and verse 3. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath day.
So let's say you can't kindle no fire upon your habitation. So you being in this truth, you know that the Levitical priests they had to kindle fire. They had to sacrifice on the Sabbath day for burnt offerings. Let's get um let's get Numbers 28 verse.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 28 and verse 9.
Now, this is the Sabbath day offering. Go ahead.
And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2 of flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and the drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering.
Now it's a burnt offering. That means you had to kindle fire. The Levitical priests had to kindle fire. So let's get what it means actually. What it means and what it says kindle no fire. Let's get Exodus 16:23.
The book of Exodus 16 and 23. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which you will bake today, and see that ye will see, and which remaineth over, lay up for to be kept until the morning.
So when it's talking about kindle no fire, it means no cooking. Right? So it's no working. You can't do any cooking. Let's get Nehemiah 10:31.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 10, and verse 31. And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath or on the holy day, that we would leave the 7th year in the exaction of every debt.
So you can't cook, you can't buy or sell, or you can't work on the Sabbath. Now, what do we do on it? Right? Let's get Leviticus 23 and verse 3. Now you know you can't do those things on the Sabbath. So what can we do on the Sabbath?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
I get Isaiah 58 and 13. Now it says that it's a holy convocation. A holy convocation means a meeting. Right? So we supposed to get together on the Sabbath day and go over the laws of the Most High God. Right?
The book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath of the light, the holy, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with heritage of Jacob thy father. For the month of the Lord hath spoken it.
So you can't do your own pleasures on the Sabbath day. Right? You can't play football. You can't play the game. Right? You can't go fishing, ride your bike. You can't do those things on the Sabbath day because that's your own pleasure. So you must do the God's pleasure, right? So let's get into when do we keep the Sabbath? Let's get Sirach 33 and 7.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 33 and verse 7. Why doth one day excel another, and has all the light of every day in the year of the sun?
Go
Well,
ahead.
verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord, they were distinguished.
I'm glad, bro. Read it over again. Verse 7.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 33 and 7. Why doth one day excel another, when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun?
So it says, why do one day excel another? Why is the Sabbath different than the ordinary workday? Go ahead.
Verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord, they were distinguished, and he altered seasons and feasts. Some
So that word distinguish means teleport. So you could teleport the seasons uh and feasts. You could teleport the new moon, you could teleport the Sabbath day.
Verse 9. Some of them have he made hot days, and hallowed them, and some of them have he made ordinary days.
So he made the new moons, the feast days, and the Sabbath days hollow. All right. That word hollow means sanctified, set apart, right? Holy. All right, let's get Genesis 1 and 5.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 5. And God called the day light. Hold on. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Say evening and the morning were the first day. So it say he called darkness night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So when it's night, it's the beginning of the day, right? Let's get Leviticus 23 and 32.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the ninth day of the month at evening, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
It says unto evening should you celebrate your Sabbath. So Friday night to Saturday night, you should celebrate your Sabbath. Now let's put that into action. Let's get Nehemiah 13 and verse 9.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 13 and verse 29.
Verse 19.
Verse 19. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not open till after the Sabbath.
So it was the Sabbath. You say it was beginning to be dark. So the Sabbath was coming in. So go ahead.
And some of my servants said I at the gate, that there should be no burden be brought in on the Sabbath.
So there should be no items brought in on the Sabbath. Now let's see what's the punishment for breaking the Sabbath. Let's get Exodus 35 and 2. Because God, there's punishments when you come to breaking God's law. Go ahead.
The book of Exodus, chapter 35 and verse 2. 6 days shall work be done. On the seventh day there shall be to you holy a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death.
So the punishment for breaking the Sabbath is being put to death. Let's get Romans 6 and 23.
The book of Romans, chapter 6 and verse 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life.
It says the wages of sin is death. Right? We know that sin, transgressing God's laws, is the commandment. And if you break God's commandments, you will in sin. So the wages of sin is death. Now, let's get is healing breaking the Sabbath? Let's get Luke 13, verse 10.
The book of Luke, chapter 13 and verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues for the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity
That's an unclean spirit.
18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself. Verse 12. And when Jesus saw her, he said, and when Jesus saw her, he called her to him and said unto her, Woman, thou art loose from thine infirmity.
So he loosed her from her unclean spirit. Go ahead.
And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight and glorified God. Verse 14. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men work. It
So the ruler of the synagogue, he said that it's only 6 days shall y'all should work. So he's saying that Jesus broke the Sabbath because healing was a form of working. Go ahead.
in them, therefore, come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. Verse 15. The Lord answered and said, thou hypocrite, doth not
Hold that right quick, bro. Get Psalms 107, verse 17.
the book of Psalms, chapter 107 and 17. Fools because of their transgression and because of their iniquity are afflicted.
That's 107, 17.
Mm.
Verse 20.
Psalms chapter 107 and verse 20. He sent his word. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destruction.
So he sent his word and healed them on the Sabbath. So Jesus healing the woman on the Sabbath is lawful. Get Wisdom of Solomon 16:12.
The book of wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16 and verse 12. For it was neither heard nor mollifying place
So it say what herbs or modifying plant. The herb is the weed. Right, go ahead.
that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things,
What the word do?
healeth things.
The word heals all things. Let's get Luke 4 and 16.
The book of Luke, chapter 4 and verse 17,
Verse 16.
verse 16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read.
So this is Jesus in the synagogue going to teach. Go ahead.
And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because
Go ahead.
the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he have anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He have sent me to heal the brokenhearted,
He sent him to what?
to heal the brokenhearted,
So he sent him to heal the broken heart. Go ahead.
to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised.
So teaching the word on the Sabbath day is healing, right? Is lawful, right? So let's get Luke 13 and 15.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 13, verse 15. The Lord then answered and said, thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering?
So Jesus, he's asking them, he's saying, don't you guys do these things on the Sabbath? Ain't that a form of work? Go ahead.
And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham,
Daughter of Israelite, go ahead.
who Satan have bound low these 18 years, be loose from this bound on the Sabbath day? And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him.
So it's, those people, they was ashamed because they was feeling like hypocrites, right? They was sinning and they judging Jesus. So let's get Matthew 12 and 11.
The book of Matthew, chapter 12 and verse 11. And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall, and he said unto them, what man shall be there among you that shall have one sheep? And if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it
So he asked on the Sabbath, if your sheep fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, is you gonna help it? Go ahead.
and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore is it lawful to dwell on the Sabbath days?
So no, Jesus did not break the Sabbath day because he was healing on the Sabbath days. So that's the end of my class. I'll say shalom and thank you all for listening. Let's get Matthew 6.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 6. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman, having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, their indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much, and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman, which ye have wrought a work upon me? For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told from a memorial of her.
So that's the memorial of Mary Mac. It's a commandment for us to give her a memorial after every time we pray, prophesy. So that's the end of the class, and I say shalom.